Sure. All right. I think we made it. I'm going to doink around for a second. So if you're catching me here at the beginning, hang in there with me. It. I've been on vacation. Not on vacation. What am I saying? I've been working, but I've been away working. So I've been on vacation from the live stream, and it looks like the audio. It's always the audio. I'm always like, the audio is off. I don't know what it is about my voice, about my gear, about my microphone position. I don't know. It's always something. So thanks for hanging in there. If you're catching me at this very moment, okay. The gain is very touchy there. If I'm coming in too hot, if I'm coming in too much, let me know. We will get to this bracket here in a second. I'm gonna just adjust here, and I'm actually gonna send out the link again. Let me see. How do we rock and roll on this? I'm assuming, I guess I'll test my audio. Okay. I heard something. I don't know if it was worth hearing, but let me, we'll talk about the bracket. We'll talk about and I'm going to be gone for the weekend. So I was gone for a week at a conference. I'm going to be gone for the weekend, and I actually really enjoy these brackets that Dead Men Walking podcast puts on. I think it's really fun. I remember the first one and just kind of checking it out from the sidelines, and then, okay, warning. Stream bitrate. Stream bitrate is low. Okay. Is there a way to change that as you go? I don't know. I mean, if I change this setting right now, so my settings were all off. When I tried to go live, it was my encoder was wrong, and I just picked one randomly. It seems like it's working, but now it's telling me my something bitrate. No, I cannot. Your video output is currently active. Please turn off any outputs. Change settings. Yeah, we're just gonna have to roll with it. So hopefully, dang, that's unfortunate. That is we recommend that you use a stream bitrate of 6,800 kilobits per second, and I am at 2,500. So whatever that does for you on that end, I don't know. Let me know. Maybe it's garbage. I hope not. So if you're hanging out, give me a shout out. Ahoy. Ahoy. And let me know if it's choppy. I guess that would be the thing. So hopefully it's not. Let me get set up. I was going to post that link again. But maybe with the bitrate going weird. Everything, it is the way it is. It is the way it is. It is what it is. Let's go like this. We are live-ish. We are live-ish. We were supposed to go live at 3. Had to change that due to family, due to I'm homeschooling my kids. And if you homeschool your kids, you know that it can be a challenge. So this will be fun. This will be a fun the wife's home. The dog is recovering from a vet appointment. The kids have settled and we're going to do a bracket breakdown here for a bunch of Reformed podcasts. And hopefully I'm just going to work off. I'm going to work off kind of like the homeschool chaos, and then attempting to go live chaos and OBS settings being off. And now we're kind of limping along, I think. With a low bit rate and subpar audio. So this is the vote for Pedro stream. You're welcome. God, that's hot. How's it going, Cassandra? It's good to see you. All right. So Cassandra's here representing the TLC. People in the TLC may not quite understand this game that I'm playing, but I think you'll get it. I think you'll understand. You'll understand the game. I actually tried to get Paul Vanderklay interested in this. It may be kind of worked. We'll see. I need some ice. Oh, you know what I have? A little bit of regular water. Cool that off. Okay. And because then one of the things I was going to do is I was going to clip a little bit of this live stream so that I could post it to X. We'll see. The platform formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. All right. So Cassandra, I hope you're doing good. Thanks for the feedback. I do appreciate that. Let's get this going. All right. So essentially what it is there's a bunch of Reformed theologians out there doing podcasts, as one does. The Christians, they're all about the word, and they're people of the word. And so if there's a way to get the word, get the message out there, Christians are going to be all over that. And now we live in this world of podcasting. We live in a world of words, which is interesting to me because God created the world out of words. And so you can see this podcast, this bracket. It looks like I have to go completely invisible for you to even see the immensity of this bracket. And we're going to actually break down. You can't here. I got a better one for you. It's a better one. There. It's and now maybe I can come back. Because then we can move this a little bit. There's over 100 podcasts on this thing, and they're all kind of doing theology online, which I find interesting as a person who sort of does theology online. I feel like the amount of podcasts actually kind of encourages me. Just the amount of people who want to share what they believe about God, about humanity, sin, and how we're free from it, evil in the world, good in the world, and what we do about that. So I actually, there are people out there who would say, we don't need any more podcasts. We just don't need any more. There's too many podcasts in the world. And I say nay. I think we need more and more podcasts. So some of these are going to be completely oblivious to me. I'm going to pick them by name. Some of these I know from the previous podcast brackets. And one of the cool things, and shout out to the Dead Men Walking podcast, shout out to those guys for putting this on and really giving exposure to some of these podcasts, because there's a few of these that I found from previous years, and it kind of gives you a picture of the podcast environment, at least from a Reformed theology perspective. You could almost imagine one of these for the TLC and Paul Vanderklay and all that would be interesting. Maybe we could get somebody to put together a bracket. I know there's a few people who do the football version of this, whatever it is, fantasy football. And they get into it, so you could do a bracket showdown. But it's cool because, one, it helps you sift. There obviously is a lot of conversation out there. And sometimes that can equate to noise. And so you need things to sift the noise. You need to be able to kind of look. So what Dead Men Walking is doing to some degree is helping us sift through the noise. Now, this may look like noise, but eventually we'll get it refined and we'll break it down over the next, I guess, 10 weeks or something like that. And so without further ado, and this was the part that I was going to try to record for myself because I need to make an appeal. I actually ended up on this podcast bracket. Well, that's not the one I want. You're the one that I want. Yeah, just going to dox myself here. I need this one. Let's see. Hopefully my financial statements were not on that screen grab. But actually, I don't know what was on that. A bunch of thumbnails. A bunch of YouTube thumbnails. Not my address or anything like that. All right. So this is the one we want to do. And I'm kind of shooting from the cuff here. I don't know how well this will work out because it is tiny, but we'll blow it up and we'll get to see who's on this. And the first appeal, there's your sponsors. The first appeal I need to make is right here. Is the old Strange Theology podcast right there. That's me. That's where you found yourself on the map here. And you'll see that Strange Theology, apparently, we can get rid of that one. Nope. Gosh, I messed myself up. Again. Okay. So I need to get rid of that one. You'll see that Strange Theology. Now you can imagine this. This is so funny. This is actually kind of funny. This is a bunch of Reformed theology podcasts, and there is a complementarian view in the Reformed circles, and so women leading out and speaking into an area that is predominantly male is something that I want to champion that. I do think that God's design for the body of Christ has us working in different areas. He's gifted us all in different ways. And so I might be one of the chief champions here of any of the ladies that have put out a podcast. And so, of course, in round one, I go up against the Presbygirls podcast. And so I would say my first pick here, this is my pick. I'm not going to make it out of round one. I'm not going to make it out of round one without some serious help. So I might need some help from the TLC. Christian Baxter, this is where you come in. Mostly Not Working. Grim Grizz, this is where you come in. Matt C, this is where you come in. Kale Zeldin, I'm gonna need help. I'm just gonna be honest. Because I think they already have a good podcast. I think it's a needed podcast again within this sort of environment that is predominantly male, masculine. We're gonna champion sort of the feminine aspects of this space. And if I wasn't going up against the Presbygirls, I would be telling you to vote for them for sure. Now, voting starts Monday the 10th, I believe is the date. So if you're following me on X, I will repost this on Monday and you guys can vote. So if you're not following me on X, it's just Strange Theology, at Strange Theology on X, formerly known as Twitter. And so I'm up against not just one podcaster, but two. So this is a team. And they recently interviewed Matthew Everhard, who has a big presence on X and on YouTube. They're supported by the Presbycast, and they have a big X following. They have a big following on X. And of course, the bracket is going to happen on X. Now, some of these podcasts are bigger on YouTube. Maybe some of them are bigger on Spotify. Some of them may have a larger presence on the platform formerly known as Twitter. My YouTube presence is bigger than my sort of X/Twitter presence. I'm gonna call it X. Okay, I don't want to dead name this app. The Presbycast is not to be taken lightly. They're nearing 10,000 followers. So if you're interested in the Presbyterian lifestyle, as it were, give those guys a follow. If you're not, it's probably kind of like pretty boring. I'm in the Presbyterian Church in America, the PCA, and one of the reasons that I'm involved in the PCA is that as a child of alcohol, as a child of chaos, let's just put it that way, I crave structure, and the PCA is one of the places that I can find that structure. I think that let's go ahead and put this up here so we can we can go back between the tabs and we're not just sort of, oh man, I have so many tabs. It's quite remarkable. I have no idea how long I'm going to be doing this, but for now, what is up? Yes, I will need the divine providential help that comes through people like Upcycle as well. So shout out to Ups. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we can kind of chill here. And one of the other reasons, I'll give some of my reasons for eventually finding my way through various Christian denominations into a Reformed denomination is I actually see a patterned way of life. I think that God has created an order to creation, and you can even look in the garden. There's a 3-tiered holy space in the way God describes the garden. There's a 3-tiered holy space the way God describes the tabernacle or the temple, and so there is a created order that we should all be looking for, and we should be looking to live in harmony with that created order. This comes back to the role of women in ministry and what have you. I mean, the Presbygirls podcast. And again, I think that there is a lot to be said. Even within the PCA, there's conversations right now about deaconesses and stuff like that, and assistants to the deacon, diaconate, I guess. And it can get kind of nerdy. And if you're not into like polity and church and stuff like that, it can be kind of weird, but for me it is maybe some of you guys are coming from an Orthodox perspective or a Catholic perspective. I mean, in a way it would be structure is to a Presbyterian the way liturgy is to an Orthodox, maybe something like that, to sort of help you navigate it. It is almost sacred, and part of that is it has to do with God's created order and his order for things, and the fact that we should live in harmony with that created order. And so, again, as a Presbyterian, and as a person who does believe that men, women have different roles, but there is a unity within the diversity that God has designed within the body of Christ that we need to preserve. It is just deeply ironic that in round one, I'm going to go up against the Presbygirls podcast. And so Monday, cast your vote, vote for Pedro. This will be the vote for Pedro stream. And my name is Peter, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know that yet. I know my account is anonymous, but you could call me Peter if you want to. So that's my first prediction. My first prediction for this bracket is actually that I think Presbygirls beats Strange Theology because of their connection, they have a great presence on the platform formerly known as Twitter. They are nestled within the Presbycast, which I think does a great job. They have an ally in Matthew Everhard, and all of those are pretty. There's some weight behind that. Not only the fact that they do a good job, and I don't know how long they have been doing their podcast, but it does seem like even for a relatively new podcast, they're doing a great job. Thank you, Ups. You can call me Pete. You can call me Pete. All right, so that's the first bracket prediction. I think that Strange Theology, Pete from Strange Theology, he could potentially pull out a last minute. He could squeak away with this one. I would love to make it out of the first round, but I think the only way is if the TLC wing sort of comes through. That would be the only real community backing that I would have, that I could sort of light the beacons and get the TLC to vote for Strange Theology. But we shall see. I haven't been playing in the TLC waters recently, and I feel bad for that. But we shall see. So I'm going to go through some of these. And one of the things for you all that are listening that could be a benefit is it's just a way to learn about a bunch of podcasts that are out there. And I'll go through some of these really quick because it could become a mess. There's a lot. I'm going to go with King's Hall over Kingdoms Unveiled. I think Kingdoms Unveiled needs to get some recognition. Let's see. Again, I have so many tabs open. It's freaking wild. I think Kingdoms Unveiled needs to get some recognition. I think Doug Van Dorn needs to get some recognition. So shout out to Kingdoms Unveiled. I think they're doing a great job whenever I can catch their podcast. But the King's Hall is just too strong. So King's Hall beats out Kingdoms Unveiled. Theology Mom, again, I'm gonna try to push the feminine voice as much as I can into this space because it is, frankly, it's needed. So Theology Mom beats the three guys. Squirrel Chatter podcast. This is just a name one. Giant Steps versus Giant Steps. I'm going Squirrel Chatter just for the name. I don't know anything about them, but shout out to those guys. Westminster Standard. As theology nerd as that sounds, we're going Room for Nuance because frankly, I think that is a good name for the internet. We need to have room for nuance. And where are they? Were they connected to something? No, that's the Rebel podcast. Let's see. They are here somewhere. Yeah, I thought their webs. No, I'm not going to subscribe, and I can't get away. Oh my gosh, I can't get away. A long-form podcast committed to exploring complex biblical topics. I do think that is key. And on the internet, it's not an easy place to do that. Long-form, key, complex biblical topics, way to go. Don't shy away from those. Okay, so we've got Room for Nuance taking that. Stories are soul food. Now, this is one that this is part of the reason I like this is I get to find new podcasts. And this is one that I was not aware of until this bracket came out. And if you have listened to my podcast at all, you have heard me say this very thing. I get it from Martin Shaw. These guys are basically saying the same thing. I don't know exactly where they got it from, but I'm really interested in looking at their podcast more as we go. Stories are soul food. So shout out to those guys. They're connected to N.D. Wilson, who probably, I think he's familiar enough to people that he could bring this one home. All right, religionless Christianity. I was actually thinking of Luke Thompson when I picked this one. The religion without a religion, so we're going that. over the aptly named Having Two Legs podcast. I don't know anything about them, but, good name. So shout out for the name. Reformed Rookie. I feel like I'm in a perpetual state of being a reformed rookie, so we'll go with that. Over the bullpen. Matt Slick, Proverbial Life. Shout out to the Proverbs. You got to live a proverbial life. Sorry, Matt Slick. I think this is an upset. I think Matt Slick actually has a bigger presence. But again, I'm trying to map all of this, and there's a lot. So we're going Proverbial Life, mostly for the sentiment here of living life. Sort of guided by those Proverbs. Redeemed Zoomer is going to take this one, I think. Just sort of a massive. It depends on how much he wants to play. Just a very big presence online. Deliberate orthodoxy. I could pick an underdog, the underdog, but I just think, Redeemed Zoomer is going to get that one for the King podcast. This is just, that's a title pick. Okay, Theocast. I'm going to pick Theocast over the Lone Bulwark. I don't know the Lone Bulwark, but these guys, I gotta give a shout out to these guys. Now, John, I'm going to say is John Moffat. Local-ish Tennessee guy. I believe it's John who's more local. Heard good things about him as a person. So there we go. We've bridged the gap. I don't know John. I think we have interacted on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, a little bit. But he's not too far from where we're both in the Nashville kind of area. And so we have mutual acquaintances, and I've heard good things about the man. So good things about the podcast, and then when you hear good things about the man, you gotta go with that. So we're taking the Theocast. Over the Lone Bulwark. Polity matters, again, going back to the Presbyterian thing. If it matters to you, yes, let's go. Let's nerd out on that. Based Boomer. Okay, we have to go with Based Boomer on this one. Where is he? All right, Christ follower, defender of the faith, author, Presbyterian, eschatological, optimistic realist, and host of the Based Boomer podcast. You got to love it. So shout out to Based Boomer. Give him a follow. Give him a follow. And I think, let's see, he's going up against Sword in the Staff podcasts. I don't think I checked these guys out enough to give a really informed decision here. I'm going with the name. I'm going shout out. This is the first round of the bracket, and so a lot of this is feels. I'm going with my feels here. It's not really a technical pick here. Millennial Medic, because yes, they need it. That's a name pick. Old Paths Podcast. Okay, this is another cool one. Shout out to these guys. Old Paths Podcast, recovering and applying the historic Reformed faith. I approach the Bible. I approach my theology in some ways. I approach my philosophy from the standpoint of the classics. And when you study the classics, and Cale Zeldin will know this, and others will know this, the older things are better. They have endured through time. And Jordan Peterson even talks about this as the more fundamental a text is, the more it has been quoted, right? The more it has been reused and recycled, the more references you have to that text. So the more fundamental it is. Well, those tend to be the oldest as well. They've endured the pressure of time. And so Old Paths Podcast, looking forward to kind of digging into that one a little bit and getting to know. Hopefully they make it out of the second round, maybe even to the third, and we get to kind of see them more. Refining Rhetoric, again, going back to sort of the old ways of doing philosophy. That's kind of a name pick. Yesterday was easy because, yes, Today, I think the implication there is today is hard. So there you go. Up against the Theology Throwdown. I'm probably wrong on this one. I feel like Theology Throwdown is backed by somebody, and I can't think of who it is, but they're connected. They're like a podcast sort of connection there. Providence Perspectives. It's kind of a name pick. Reformed Nerdum. Got it. That's kind of a name pick, but that sounds awesome. Look, I don't think I have their tab pulled up. Maybe I do. No, nope, I didn't. But that just sounds awesome. So there you go. Reformed Nerdum gets the pick. Truth Espresso podcast, another name pick, but Reformed Fire over Theology Equipped. Okay, Cooper stuff. This is an interesting one. One I didn't know.
Hear the proposition put forward tonight.
Nope. Not that one. I have about 50,000. And I was one off. Okay. So this is one of the band members for Skillet. Do I have this right? It was created for multiple reasons. John Cooper of Skillet, and what he thinks. So you've got a guy moving from music, podcasting, clearly sees the value in it. I don't know much other than that. Just thought that was interesting and worth noting. And so we're going to give Cooper the pick there. Presbyterian and Reformed Churchman podcast, because nothing sounds more Presbyterian and Reformed than that title. Well done. We'll give you the pick. Truth, Love, Patient. Yes, another kind of name pick there. White Horse Inn. I don't have a tab for these guys. Maybe I do. This is a good podcast. And if you don't know the White Horse Inn, check them out. You know what? We can just make one. We can make it. Let's just make another tab. Why don't we? While we're at it, White Horse Inn. They did one on, they did a whole series, I think, on the book of Revelation. I thought it was great. Check them out, thewhitehorseinn.org, and or on your other internet spaces, such as, I don't know, About Us. Instagram, Facebook, the platform formerly known as Twitter, and the YouTubes. Let's see what they have on YouTube. Oh, social media. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so Sola Media runs White Horse Inn podcast. I thought the podcast was good. I don't know anything about Sola Media, but they get the pick. Check them out. They've been podcasting for a long time. I feel like when I listened to their Revelation overview, I feel like they were recording it like 10 years ago or something like that. So you got to give a shout out to the early adopters to this. Adam Curry, who is sort of the podfather, the grandfather of podcasting, pointed out that when he originally started podcasting, and it was the Christians who showed up in droves to like put their content out there. So I feel like White Horse Inn was one of those early adopters. Got a minute. Okay, so again, a little bit of a name pick, but I will say this: something like Straight Truth podcast. I get the sentiment. But we're all a little bent, right? We're all a little heretical. And so, if you're going to be Straight Truth podcast, I feel like maybe you're overclaiming a little bit. So I went with Got a Minute. No shade there. Love what you guys are doing. But it just, yeah, there's a reason I named my podcast Strange Theology, because I feel like we're all a little, we're let's just say this. when we can be in community together and listen and respond to one another, we are more on that plumb line of truth. Reality is truth is reality perceived by the mind of God. Since we're going into these Reformed circles, that's a little. Now I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, reality is truth perceived by the mind of God. R.C. Sproul. R.C. Sproul said reality is truth. Truth is reality perceived by the mind of God. Truth is reality perceived by the mind of God, meaning that only God sees reality for what it truly is. He has an infinite perspective, and we have finite perspective, which is why we need to exist in a body of believers. And because no one of us has all of it figured out. And so anytime we get a little bit too, we start to overclaim things a little too much. We just need to do things differently. I think that's sort of a reaction to sort of the modernist criticism of Christianity and its historical claims. We went, we'll lay it down and we'll go straight truth at you and we'll give you all the historical, and we'll be, sort of like we'll do apologetics with a very heavy hand, and you can because you do have truth on your side. But I think that there might be a different way to do this moving forward. So I think we'll see fewer and fewer podcasts like Straight Truth Podcast gaining traction. And again, I'm saying this based off the name, not what you guys are doing. You're probably doing a great job. But named fewer and fewer, got a minute. Okay, yeah, something like that. It doesn't say like it's Christian in the name, so maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. I think authenticity will be the key. Authenticity is the currency of the podcast world. So Christians, we just need to own some of the hypocrisy that we might have sometimes. Okay, so that was kind of like a long diatribe just about names and how we name things. But also, I'm going to take a quick break because it's getting really hot in here. And I'm gonna open a door. I'm gonna open the door, but I'm not gonna open the window. All right, we'll see if that helps at all. It's suddenly got warm in the south, so all my windows are boarded up for like 17 degrees, and now it's 70, and maybe I could turn a fan on or something like that. But you're gonna have to suffer with me. Spare no arrows sounds awesome. Okay, and there's the Presbygirls. We already kind of covered those guys. So I do think that they're gonna take it. We'll see. I don't know much about Third Man Podcast, but I just feel like people will gather around the Presbygirls. Matthew Everhard, it may be one of those. The Consistent Calvinist Podcast. I just think Matthew's going to take that. He's got a big presence. He also just has an active sort of following. So, Scott, welcome. All right, so we've made it through half. We've made it through half of this bracket. Hearts for the Lost. Okay, I love this name as a missionary and as a former missionary. I love this, and coming from like a Reformed background, Hearts for the Lost. Got to give those guys a shout out. But I think you're a Calvinist. He has a really good online presence. He's gonna play the game. Shout out to Keith Foskey. He may be one of the finalists. I think it was Keith and Matthew Everhard in the last one of these, but there wasn't this many. So definitely, there's no way Keith doesn't make it out of the first round. So there you go. The Missions Podcast, again, I already kind of sort of spoke from my missions background. Again, some of these are just picks on the names. We'll get a little bit more detailed as time goes on. Provoked Podcast, I like it. Theo Geeks, kind of like the Polity Nerds, I think was the other one. Knox Unplugged. I'm just going to go with the name. I think I'm going to go with Theo Geeks takes it. We Have You Over Real Christianity. Again, a kind of, Sheologians. One that I do not have a tab for, but should, I believe. Theologians. Very clever. Just like, kind of like the Presbygirls, but let's see. About us. Let's see here. Theology. We'll just plop it right down in the middle here. Oh, and then I messed it up. Nope. Where'd it go? I lost it. I closed it. Give me a break. I'll give my I'm all worked up here, so I need to take a little bit of a break. Let me recover myself here. Okay. Now I'm going to click it without closing it. By crikey. All right. We are back up and rolling. Okay, so the Theologians. Summer White, Joy Temby. We are the Theologians. 2016. iTunes. Okay, Girls from Apologia Radio. All right, so confirmed. I think they take it if they've got Apologia behind them. And again, we'll get some more of the feminine into this heavily masculine conversations that matter. I feel like I do know them, but yeah, we'll give them Apologia podcast. They're just big. The podcast. Okay, so this is Doug, right? This is Doug. There's so many things going on. Doug Wilson. This is Doug Wilson. And I love that it's blog and mab blog, like Gog and Magog. Doug's going to take this one, love him, hate him, whatever it might be. The podcast takes it. Again, I just think he's got the back. He doesn't come to play, though. I will say this. The Regular Man podcast, if you come to play, you can beat Doug Wilson. Doug does not play these games, okay? He's a man without a sense of humor, kind of. And so if you can come at him, let's look at Regular Man, because this could be an upset. I may change. The Regular Man, I feel like, oh, maybe I do have a tab for him. 82 subscribers on the YouTubes, but that doesn't mean much. And the account doesn't exist on Twitter. At least Regman Ministry doesn't. I think Doug's going to take this one. I was going to say this could be an upset. This could be a moment where a small account can beat a bigger one because, again, Doug just doesn't really play the game. I don't know if he knows how to play the game. Yes, I am getting an early start on this March Madness. Now, this is going to come at you on Monday. And again, I have to do kind of an early start because I'm gone for the weekend. So I don't know what these Presbygirls are going to be doing over the weekend. I don't know what kind of sabotage they're going to have coming at me. Oh, that's not the Presbygirls. That's their other one. Anyways, there they are. I don't know what kind of shenanigans Zoe is going to come up with and Sarah. You know what? And I'm going to be kind of out of the loop. So I have to get a jump on this. So here we are. It's Thursday. Voting happens Monday, the 10th. Here we are. It is the 6th, and voting happens on the 10th. It is Thursday. Voting happens on Monday. And this will be in the deep, deep recesses of the Internet Archive by then, and no one will know that it exists. But it's what I have to do because I'm going to be gone. Now, I'll be back Monday. So, Presbygirls, look out. That's all I'm saying. Again, I'm going to be an advocate for the feminine voice here, but maybe not so much with the president. Okay. Podcast takes it wrecked to reformed. Good title. Civically minded podcast. Oh man, you gotta give him the love. Where is he? It's not this guy. Civically minded. Again, I should close some of these tabs after I use them to clear up space, but now I'm kind of worried. Civically minded put out. So talk about getting it early. Here, I'll just find it. I'll just re-find it. Good grief. I need to close some of these. We're closing some of these. Room for Nuance, we covered. Strange Theology, we covered. The Rebel Podcast, haven't gotten there yet. King's Hall, we did cover the King's Hall is just going to take it. Where is this? We did cover stories. Where is she? Shout out to okay, we're going to find him. We're going to find him because he did such a funny take. And this is where I tried to get Paul Vanderklay involved, and he played a little. So let's see. I'm gonna find him. Nope. I'm gonna find him in my notifications. Sorry, hang in there with me. Hopefully you brought your notes and you're doodling while I scroll my feed here. Okay. And maybe we'll give civically minded. We'll give him some sound, because I might need to take a little bit of a break from talking for a second. And you know what it is? You know what it also is? One of the reasons I'm warm is I'm drinking hot tea. That tea was hot to begin with, and I haven't really cooled it off. But talk about getting an early start. This is from 2 days. This is from 2 days ago. So 2 days before this.
Well, hello there, Christian X. My name is Corey Wing, and I'm the host of the Civically Minded podcast. I'm a new entry in the Dead Men Walking Reform podcast tournament this year, and I realized that many of you might not know me, or possibly never even heard of my podcast. Well, not to fear. I have an expensive microphone, an overly thought-through set design, interesting backlighting from my very own custom logo neon sign. I have a bookcase full of heavy theological tomes and fun but relatable memorabilia, as well as wax-topped bottles of whiskey and a humidor full of Central American tobacco. Well, as you can see, I wear glasses and sport a beard, so you know I take higher education seriously. I'm creedal and confessional, heck, I'm even Presbyterian, and it doesn't get more reformed than that. From time to time, I even use big words like anti-disestablishmentarianism. So, yeah, I'm smart too. I'm married to a wife much prettier and more talented than I deserve, and we have perfectly angelic and, yes, baptized children. So when you think of casting your vote this year, think of the Civically Minded podcast. We are practical theology for everyday life.
Gotta love it. Gotta love that he takes a moment to even... He's roasting himself and the sort of reform podcast bro, which I just love. And so I got Paul on this a little bit. Where was Paul? Yeah, it's gonna be. Oh, where's Paul? Hello, Christian X. Phlebas says Paul shouldn't get involved. Okay, sorry, Phlebas, not Phlebas. Okay, fine. Okay, well, there's Paul. Infralapsarianism should have been the word. Way to go, Paul. And then, see, this is what I was just like, PVK is going to go hard in the paint. If he comes to play, if he gets on one of these brackets, it would be this. It would be actually this. Maybe. It's not quite the TLC game. But it would be fun. It would be fun to see Paul Vanderklay do something like Civically Minded, just put together. That would be fantastic. So we're giving Civically Minded the pick. Civically Minded over Eschatology Matters. I feel like that's a bigger. I know that. Okay, Hardman Podcast gets it. Again, just I think the size of that group. The Didache versus Think Institute. I actually think I like Think Institute better, but I think this is a bigger account. Contramundum takes it. I don't know why I picked that. Open Air Theology. There's a little bit of the evangelistic side of me that wants to say, yeah, we'll take that. But probably over Bright Hearth is a mistake, right? The Bright Hearth pod. Oh, that's Brian. Yeah. That's probably a mistake, because depending on how much Brian Sauvé wants to use his internet presence, that will not hold up. But again, I'm going with my feels, my heart more than really a tactical pick here. So Scott, yeah, this is for what's basically a Reformed Theology podcast bracket that's happening on Monday the 10th. And I happened to get a nod, and I think they're a lot of fun. Some of these podcasts are well established and have large followings. Some of them are new. And so it gets really fun when you see, because I think like we just looked at Civically Minded. I don't know that his podcast has been around that long, but he's definitely active on, X and what have you. And so, yeah, it's just kind of a fun little place to learn. Like a lot of, like, if you're not into Reformed theology, let me say this. I think often Reformed theology gets sort of a bad rap because of the way some people present it. And maybe it's like presented as, hey, we've got Westminster, like we kind of have it figured out. You come to me for questions, right? And I think there's a part of that that's okay. Like I think the body of Christ needs to work together. I think, and I came into Christianity in my high school years, and I got, I came in, the first real church experience that I had was sorry, I got distracted because my face is just too bright. There's too much light in my eye. I came in through a more charismatic circle, and I find myself now in sort of a Reformed tradition, which I love, and I appreciate that I have that experience. I think the charismatics should be talking to the Reformed theologians. I think the Reformed theologians should be talking to the charismatics. The problem is not breaking apart and having all these different denominations. Even within the Reformed tradition, there's various split-offs, right? But it's when there's no conversation happening. And I think that that's what we need. We just need more of that. So this is a little bit of a niche. It's a little bit niched down to just the Reformed side of things. But yeah, if you want to catch up, what is Reformed theology exactly? That is a question. The easy way to answer that is to look at the Reformation, right? Martin Luther, 95 Theses, Wittenberg, Adore, all of that. When was that? 1517? Somebody quote me on that. And then developed from that. Calvin, Zwingli, all of these guys who looked at what the Catholic Church was doing in the 1500s and said, guys, I think we've fallen off the path of the Bible, essentially, which is where we get our theology from. And we can't do that. We can't do that. We got to return to what is said in Scripture. And so they reformed. They were trying to reform the Catholic Church, not necessarily split off of it. And so that's why, you go to a Lutheran church and it still, has some of the sort of the Catholic feel to it. So that's what it is. Now, I come into the Reformed tradition kind of with this aspect of we are Reformed and reforming. That was one of the phrases that allowed me to really know that I could settle into sort of this tribe, so to speak, is the idea that, yes, we have good theology behind us, but we have more work to do in front of us. So we will continue to reform. We will continue to build on the work of Calvin and Westminster and Luther and whoever else you might want to. Knox would be another one in that tradition. I went to Knox Theological Seminary. And so we're building off of the work of these reformers. And so, so that's where we kind of get this Reformed. Now, I do think, unfortunately, sometimes the presentation of it. Now, Paul Vanderklay is a pastor at a Christian Reformed church. And I think his presentation of his tradition is really kind. I think he does a really good job. I think where Reformed, where the Reformed tradition can get a bad rap is it's presented with a heavy hand. And I do think we need to work on that. So we got another question. Can you find a Reformed church with Reform eschatology? All in my neighborhood teach dispensationalism, including the Presbyterian. Eschatology, gosh, my eschatology is so messed up. Well, it's not messed up. It's very simple. Maybe it's too simple. How would you find one? Gosh. Which Presbyterian? That's the other question. So, man, I wish Matt Ballard was here, because he's got these words. Now, I think within the PCA, we would be considered, gosh, I don't know the terms, man. That's one question that I need to get some flashcards. I need to get some flashcards so that I can remember all these different terms. But essentially, I guess you'd have to do some digging. Okay, let me know what Presbyterian church you're looking at, and then we can go from there. I would think the PCA churches would have their eschatology pretty well buttoned down. I've been in an ECO, Evangelical Eco Presbyterian Church. I'm loosely familiar with the PC USA, just by reputation. But yeah, sorry. I wish I was better at answering those questions. Okay, so we got open air theology over Bright Hearth. Again, Bright Hearth probably takes this. Folklore podcast. Again, I think I'm picking that based off the name. I don't know that I have a tab for folklore. Yeah. Reform Red Pill is going to take this one. I believe he is. He's just doing a lot. What's his YouTube channel up to? 7,000. He's putting in the work, and plays the game for sure. Got the mustache going. Now, I guess is this two guys? I thought it was just the main guy, but I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. Reform Red Pill's gonna take it over Caleb Gordon. Watch Well podcast. Okay, Watch Well is actually one of the, where is he? Real Parker Brown. He was one of the ones that I found on this last bracket, maybe even the first one. But the Watch Well podcast, I'm gonna find his. I interact with him a little bit more on X than I do anywhere else. There he is. Gosh, too many.
There's no
tabs.
doubt about how much Americans love.
But it's interesting, and this would probably tie into some of those coming from the TLC, essentially looking at the culture through their lens of media and stuff like that. Aims to point out the truth that holds stories together, means every movie ever made that is good or bad borrows from the Christian worldview. We just observe what Hollywood steals. I think that's a great prompt for a channel and for a podcast. There's others that do this and do this well, but shout out to the Watch Well podcast. I guess I haven't subscribed. I don't know if subscriptions really matter these days, but there you go. Again, on X, though, it's the real Parker Brown. The real Parker Brown on the platform formerly known as Twitter. Watch Well gets it. Reformed Forum for the Gospel takes it over Matter of Theology. The Theology podcast. These guys are funny. Where are they? Here, we can close these and it'll help me. These guys are funny. I will find it. Hang in there with me. There they are. I knew they were there. I knew we had them. 3 overeducated Reformed guys grumbling about what bugs them and sometimes even barking about what they like. The topics can vary widely, seeing as pugsters have different spheres of knowledge and interest, but common themes which appear regularly include the transcendence of God and the meaningfulness of his creation. So, gotta love this. Anytime you start your description with 3 overeducated Reformed guys grumbling about what bugs them, it's like, yeah. Overeducated Reformed guys grumble quite a bit. So just lean into that, guys. Lean into it. I think they take it over Theopolis. That could be an interesting one, though, as well. Westminster Effects Docs. Again, God, Law, Liberty. Cultish is going to take it. Now, Cultish is a part of another bigger sort of podcast network. And I don't quite remember which one that is. Oh, I do have Eschatology Matters up. Since we were talking about eschatology, maybe this is a good place to look. Maybe this would be a good guy to get the question about Reformed eschatology. There we go. Eschatology Matters. But where were we? White Horse Inn. Gotta give him the win there. Where were we? What were we even doing? Oh, it's Apologia Studios, I believe, is where you find Cultish. There you go. And I think I have, yesterday was easy, got the pick. So there you see it, right? We're sifting. We were talking about how sometimes these, the internet is filled with voices, which can be filled with noise. You need tools to sift. And so here you get a bracket to sort of sift through and go, oh, that does sound really interesting. And then what you realize is, okay, under Apologia Studios, you actually have Cultish. You have Yesterday Was Easy. Those two have already been brought up in this bracket. So it's a little interesting, why Apologia Studios would not be just the main one. I mean, it's over 500,000 subs. And I think, and I'm sorry I don't remember the guy from Dead Men Walking's name. I think what he was trying to do was not put in any just gigantic accounts to overwhelm some of these smaller ones. So we're going to give it to Cultish, though, just because the backing. I think they also have a good podcast as well, kind of fringe stuff, which I tend to like. They look at the different cults and some of those fringe topics, which is good. Okay, Just Thinking gets it. Even though Fighting for the Faith, it's like, yeah, of course, we want to give Sorry. Get this back. Okay. Backwoods beliefs. Yes. Based on the name alone, I'm going there. I hope Backwoods takes it. I don't know anything about it other than the name. So the Bar Podcast, BAR Podcast. Relatable is going to take Relatable. Okay, so Relatable is a big account, a big name, a big person, a big whatever. But again, going with, let's see, do we just, and I'm assuming here that this is the Relatable podcast that you're talking about with Allie Beth Stuckey. Over 500,000 on the YouTube channel. But again, here's where I will say, now, is he getting the female voice, again, assuming it's this Relatable, there might be others with the same name, but getting the female voice in there, good. A.D. Robles podcast, you can take this because probably Allie Beth Stuckey doesn't know this is happening. So you just got to come to play the game. Abolition Rising. Okay, this was an interesting one. I actually have it right there. Bringing the gospel of Jesus Christ into conflict with the evil of child sacrifice. Just coming right at it. Just calling it what it is. Bold, very bold. The abolition movement. Okay, you kind of get the idea. And again, I do think there is room for nuance with this conversation, particularly with women who have gone, who have had an abortion and need healing, need counseling. That's where we need to have nuance for that conversation. So yeah, got to give them Abolition Rising, Theo Money, the On Money. Okay, take it. Crisis the Cure takes it, and then Haunted Cosmos. Okay, we end with Haunted Cosmos. We began way over here with Strange Theology and the Presbygirls podcast, and now my hair. Look, this is what's happening. Now we're here. We've gone full circle. Now the hair is going we're going the wrong direction when I look at myself that way. Okay, now we're here. We started here. We went up to the King's Hall takes it, and then Haunted Cosmos takes it. Now this is Ben Garrett, Brian Sauvé. Ben Garrett has been on the Strange Theology podcast. Really enjoyed my time talking with Ben. I hope that I can get Ben on again at some point. Here you go, Strange Theology and Haunted Cosmos with Ben Garrett. If you're interested in our conversation, there she be. My kids love Haunted Cosmos. So this is what's happened. We will get in the car, and I've got about a 45-minute drive. That's just too bright. It's too bright in my eyes. I'm sorry. I've got a 45-minute drive, and we'll just listen to a Haunted Cosmos episode. That's what we'll do. And I appreciate these guys. Now, I do have a friend who said that she had to stop following them because of their antics on Twitter, and I don't blame her for that. But I'm hanging in there with you guys. I know that there could be some sharp edges that we all have. So Haunted Cosmos takes it. So I'm giving the guys from Ogden 2 out of 3. I think I have all their podcasts figured out in my mind here. Haunted Cosmos is one of them. The Hearth, where is it? Was it Open Air takes it over the Hearth, right? Is that Open Air? Bright Hearth. I'm gonna give it to. That's the one that I think could win. I want to. My gut wants Kingdoms Unveiled. And not that I want the King's Hall not to win. But again, you've got 3 podcasts represented really by one group, and so it's like if I'm gonna pick one of those 3, I'm always gonna pick Haunted Cosmos over any of the other ones. Kingdoms Unveiled. You know, again, my heart wants to make the pick, but it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And so that is your best Reform podcast bracket 2025. Vote every day on X, February 10th through the 21st. Yeah, we come to play. What is that? That's like 2 weeks. I don't know. I can't math right now. I'm at the end of the show. Shout out to Real Dead Man Podcast. Sponsors, you got to give them another click, you know, give them another whatever, put them in your face or whatever. Yeah, sponsors. But that's my pick. We'll see how good I do by, I guess we'll know by the 11th who makes it through round 1. Again, I'm going to get beat by a pair of girls here. That's really what it comes down to. Unless I can get my friends here on the YouTubes to show up for the game. But we'll see. I'm preparing myself. To get beat by a bunch of girls. And you'll have to hang in there with me as we do that. So, thanks for hanging in there. I think, let's see. I'm gonna check on a few things. Yeah. We've been going for an hour, and that's usually when I start to shut down. But also, my wife and kids are waiting for me to come downstairs and enjoy a nice meal with them. I think it's chicken nuggets, so you know, got to give my wife some love. You can do that by hitting the heart buttons. You know, you can also smash the like button. Or no, we don't smash like buttons here. We gently tap them. It's broken, so be kind to the like button. Shout out to the Presbygirls podcast, the Dead Men Walking. Shout out to Strange Theology. That guy is putting in the work, so you got to give him your vote on Monday. And you can check out any of the previous videos that I have done. Again, I'm in the middle of a bit of a season where I just came back from a conference. I'm going to a winter camp. And so we'll be back to maybe making regular content here soon. Lots going on with Joe Rogan. I never really did the pitch for my channel. So the pitch for my channel is that I highlight the biblical Christian worldview as it cameos in popular culture with voices like Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, and Russel Brand. I create dialogues by combining Joe Rogan, usually with Michael Heiser, Jordan Peterson, usually with Francis A. Schaeffer, and Russel Brand. I really don't know who to put with Russel Brand as an interlocutor, but if you have a recommendation, I'll take it. But then we build conversation from previous conversations that exist in this mystical, magical world we call the internet, just like the ancient authors of old carried on the great conversation. You can think of Plato all the way up to our modern day, the great conversation that has been going on in poetry and philosophy. We are now taking that into the world of podcasting. And so thank you for hanging out with me. And I will definitely catch you in the next one. I'm going to hang out for a second in the chat and just make sure I shut this thing down on time. Scott Fagley, that's my buddy. But Scott, thanks for hanging out. I will sweep the leg. So we're going to give it a second, and I will catch you guys. I mean, look at those tabs. That's only part of them. I've already closed some down, but I will catch you guys next time.